What's up? Your boy Domuto. We back with another video today watching UnrealEntGaming Beyond Dragon Ball Super Primal Baby Vegeta. Blue Vegeta trained with Ultra Instinct Beerus with a new technique. Oh shit, Beerus and Vegeta's training. That's gonna be good to see, man. Can't wait to see that. And and then everything going on with the Dark Masters and stuff, man. Yeah, so anyway, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into it.
As our story now continues, following the initial events of Goku, Gohan, and Whis being shown having to take their leave prior to Beerus being shown having to engage against Vegeta, to which it was only just moments prior with Beerus being shown having to further question Vegeta just before having to engage during their training session, was when Beerus then went on to quickly respond. Now before we begin, I just want you to go and keep something in mind and know that I am not looking to play any sort of games with you here while we go and do this, Saiyan, because with what it is that I am expecting to go and get out of you, I am hoping that you'll go and give me your absolute best during this contest. Otherwise, I will go and destroy you and leave nothing in your wake behind. Do you understand? With Vegeta responding, but my aim isn't to go and try to hurt you during this battle, Lord Beerus, and so by giving you my all isn't something that I think that we should go and explore during this contest, but rather just instead go and take it a little easy in the meantime so we could save our strength for when we battle against those demons, and more importantly, Lord Raijin. Wouldn't you agree? With Beerus responding, then just who exactly went and said that you'd go and hurt me to begin with, Saiyan? Because I certainly never said that this was going to be any sort of issue, because my main focus is to see on what it is that you are made of, and then to also find out on how good you really are once I've locked you right where I need you, and that's when I'll know if you'll be strong enough to break free or not, Saiyan. And so now I won't go and tell you twice. I want you to go and use everything that you have here against me, and as well as also showing me on whatever tricks you might be hiding in your back pocket, Vegeta, and as you are in this to ensure that those demons are stopped before they could go and do what Murno had nearly went as far as to nearly do to all of us now, aren't you? Because if that's the case, then this is going to be your one and only chance to go and prove that, Vegeta. And then before you do, Beerus went on to then quickly interrupt, allow for me to also go and remind you of one very important thing, Vegeta, and that is, while I know how badly you do not wish to repeat the events of what was shown taking place with Murno ever again, and I just hope you know that unless you go and give it your all here against me during this contest, then not only are you going to be going as far as to repeat the same mistakes that you once made by allowing for that rotten angel to do what he nearly did against you in battle, but more importantly, is if you go and decide to give me anything less than your absolute best, then you can go and kiss your life goodbye, because not only am I going to view you as I would be fighting against Raijin, but I will also ensure you that I am going to be fighting you with the intention to destroy you, which is exactly why you better be at your absolute best here against me, Vegeta, because anything less,
you trying to fight seriously?
Okay, just go and pack your bags and head down into the demon realm as well, because in this world, in this universe, in my universe, there will be no such thing as weaklings who will walk among myself and Whis that will not go unchecked. And unless your efforts and your nightmares of overcoming that battle with Murno are to repeat themselves, then you better go and come at me with everything that you have, otherwise you are going to be remembered as nothing more than a disgrace. To which this was now seemingly shown having to do it, because with Vegeta being shown having to power up into his Primal Super Saiyan Blue evolution form was when Vegeta went on to quickly respond, well then, if that's the game that you wish to go and play here with me, then so be it, but understand that I will not stand and allow for you to go and treat what happened with Murno before as some kind of a joke here. And so if this was what you wanted to go and see from me, then you've got it. And while I originally had intended to go and learn more about those demons by looking further into that book that I was reading, since you are the one that wanted to go and make this personal with me, Lord Beerus, especially after having to be on the receiving end of Murno's wrath yourself, then why don't I just just go and remind you on exactly why you shouldn't be taking this as a joke with me here to begin with, Lord Beerus. Which it was only just within that very moment as Beerus was attempting to attack Vegeta, with Vegeta shown having to dodge each and every single one of Beerus's strikes, was when Vegeta then went on to quickly continue.
Alright,
and while you may not go and take these matters as serious as I do, especially after having to experience everything that we had to go and experience when facing that wretched angel Murno, I will not allow for myself to be taken for a fool as I once did by any of those demons, no matter the cost, Lord Beerus. And that is where you are wrong in your judgment to assume that I could care less when in fact I do, Beerus responds upon being shown uppercutting Vegeta in the face. However, Saiyan, just because I don't obsess over the idea of having to constantly relive the trauma that Murno had put you through, doesn't go as far as to insinuate or mean that my concerns aren't anything less than your own, Saiyan, and that is the difference between my approach and yours, with Vegeta responding, "Oh, to obsess over and relive the trauma, huh? Is that what you think that I go through since our battle here with Murno? You think that this is some kind of a joke? Because this is by no means a joke to me, Lord Beerus, but yes, maybe I am obsessed with what was shown having to take place here with that angel when we came face to face with him, and do you want to know on why that is? Well, it's simple, because that was the first and only other time where none of us, no matter how powerful we were at the time, could have ever have went and stood a chance to go and do anything to stop him. And so to avoid having anything like that ever become a reality to any of us here ever again, as you yourself out of everyone should know firsthand on exactly how that feeling of helplessness feels, which is exactly why I am taking this far more seriously than you are at the moment. And so even if you say that I am obsessed by the thought of never having history go and repeat itself ever again, at least I am the only one aside from both Kakarot and Whis who appear to care enough in wanting to go and do something about it, and only going as far as stopping that newly awakened demon god Raijin before it's too late, Vegeta responds upon being shown grabbing and throwing Beerus across the landscape. And so you will either go and take these matters seriously here against me, as well as also take these threats as seriously as you should, or you can just go and leave me as I am so that I can go and prepare for the battle that I know is bound to arrive at our front doorstep once that wretched Raijin goes and gives them all the order to go and do so. And if you and I are going to continue to go and do this as we are, and seeing where we stand when compared to one another like this within the moments, then you better start taking me as seriously as I am taking you. Otherwise, I am just going to go and call this battle within my favor early, so that I could go back and figuring out of a way on how to go and stop those demons from continuing to invade and attack us when we least expect for them to do. And so because of this, you can go and consider this as being your one and only warning in the meantime, while I look forward in ending this. And as while you struggle with your thoughts and having me remind you of the pain that we had to undergo in facing that fallen angel Murno, let it go and be known here and now that this is where I plan on ending this for good. As Beerus then went on to quickly respond, "Oh, and just what the heck is that feeling that I just keep sensing? For every time I find myself clashing with him, something appears to be very off, and I can't tell on what it is that he is doing to cause this. It's as if my energy is being disrupted somehow or thrown off sync, for it is subtle, so subtle in fact that I almost can't notice, but there's no mistaking it now, that this Saiyan is doing something that is causing me to go and lose my train of focus. And although from the looks of it, on the surface he doesn't appear to be using anything, but I know that he is up to something, and I intend on finding out as to what that is, because he was never shown having to fight like this before, and whatever it is that this Saiyan is pulling on me," Beerus continues, "only seems to be something that appears to be slowly working, and I'll be damned if I'm going to allow for him to continue this onslaught here against me without having me go and put a stop on whatever it is that he is trying to go and use against me in the meantime. But while he's pushing his luck here against me, given how strong he's gotten since the days of when I had him pinned beneath my feet as being so much more powerful than he was before having to reach this form of his, I'm done having to play nice with this Joker, because if he honestly thinks that he could just go and walk all over me and expect for me not to have a say in the matter here against him during our battle, then he is in for a very rude awakening. And since Beerus. I didn't expect to go this far as to have to use Ultra Instinct out here against Vegeta. Whatever secrets this Saiyan has hidden up his sleeve isn't going to last forever, and while I intend to go and find out on what his tricks are before he continues to go and try them and wear me down by using them, I will not go quietly into the night while allowing for him to go and get away with what he's doing, not by a long shot. And so now if he's looking to go and fire that attack directly towards me with the intention to do as much damage as he possibly can, then he is in for a very rude awakening. To which, as Vegeta was then shown having to fire his final flash, was when Vegeta then went on to quickly respond, well, as good as you are and as much as you wanted to go and see where I stood here when compared to you in battle, Lord Beerus, let this go and serve as being the final nail that will drive this battle to an end and put a rest to any doubts that you may have had here against me. Nor so you think, Saiyan, but even now Beerus continues upon being shown having to close his eyes. Before this day is through, I will go on to find out as to what you're using here against me, whether we wind up destroying this planet in the process or not, Saiyan. To which it was only just then within that very moment as Vegeta was shown having to fire off his final flash directly into one of Beerus's moons was when Vegeta went on to then quickly respond, and so now let this be the confirmation that you were looking for in order to finally find out firsthand on which one of us is truly the what the? And I will go as far as to admit, Beerus responds upon being shown teleporting behind Vegeta, that you certainly have grown very bold, Vegeta, but don't you dare go and think for a second that your underhanded tactics are going to be what you will be using to overcome me, with Vegeta responding, wait, but does he somehow happen to already know, or is he simply going based off of his instincts to tell? And how did he? And then just because you may have attempted to go and try it once, Beerus went on to then kick Vegeta away, doesn't mean that I'm going to go and allow for you to go and continue to try this little trick of yours against me without having me stop you in the meantime. And while I may not know as to what it was that you were secretly doing behind our backs that had caused for you to implement such a bizarrely interesting technique here against me, I just hope that you know, Vegeta, that while you may have been able to find yourself contending against that fallen angel as you are, I am still even now that much more stronger than you after learning how to finally wield the power of Ultra Instinct for myself. And as I'd also be lying to you if I said that I still wasn't curious about finding out more about what you're doing, because it's not too often where you typically find the mortals such as yourself who just so happen to have been able to incorporate such elements into a battle against a destroyer like this. And because of these reasonings, I intend on finding out about everything that you've stumbled across, because although the evidence should be clear by now, Beerus was then shown rushing towards Vegeta, and I still would like to go and know on exactly where you went and had learned these unusual skills from, Saiyan. And then so now with your back against the wall, go and cough it up and tell me what it is that I need to know, and more importantly, Beerus continues, is what more do you appear to be hiding from me that you have yet to go and make known within my presence that I am not already unaware of, with Vegeta responding, well, with all due respect, Lord Beerus, but you'll have to go and try a lot harder than that if you wish to go and beat that information out of me so easily, because it was just as I had said prior, for I have been preparing while the rest of you have been napping, with Beerus responding, no, is that what you think that I've been doing since the days of Murno's destruction now, did you? Well, heed my warnings casually here and now, Saiyan, for don't you dare go around and trying to make this personal here between us, because if you just so happen to do, then those demons down there within the demon realm, along with that so-called god of the underworld Raijin, are going to be the absolute least of your worries here once I go and get my hands on you, Vegeta. And as even now I can't help but wonder on what else you know that you aren't telling me, since I can already see that you are clearly using some kind of a technique to protect yourself from my oncoming attacks. And so understand this now too, that whatever you are using to go and shield your weaknesses isn't going to be what saves you if that is all you have to rely on when up against those demons. And because of this, that is where your weakness lies, Beerus continues upon being shown attacking Vegeta, for you are too caught strung on the battle that you were shown having to be waging against Murno before, that you simply fail to understand that this is what is also hindering you from further having to evolve yourself, and that is why you will always go as far as to remain as you are, as it'll always point back to your fear to begin with. But then, it was only just upon with Vegeta being shown having to grab onto onto one of Beerus's arms before he was shown having to then attack him was when Vegeta then went on to quickly respond, "Or maybe it's your lack of understanding that'll be what secures me the victory over you here, Lord Beerus. Because while I've been carefully paying very close attention into figuring out a way to go and bring the fight right back to the demons within the demon realm, you shouldn't go and be so careless as to go and look down upon me just because I'm determined. And if we're going to discuss one another's weaknesses and further having to better ourselves for the fight to come," Vegeta continues, "then I think that it should be more than pretty obvious to you by now on what your weaknesses are, Lord Beerus. And because while I continue to stand on my vows to never allow to have what happened with Murno to ever take place with that bastard Raijin from the demon realm, then you should know better than anyone," Vegeta continues upon being shown throwing Beerus across the landscape, "then I will ultimately go as far as I would need to in order to go and make sure that something like what happened before never goes on to ever happen again," with Beerus responding,
"Don't let it happen again."
"Oh, damn that mortal," Beerus responds upon being shown wiping his face, for it's clear that whatever it is that he is trying to do is now starting to slowly take its toll on his body. And while I have him within my sights and while his focus is starting to shift, his attacks are losing their edge, and that's where I'll need to go and strike him down before he has a chance to try and recover and gain the upper hand here against me, which is something that I cannot go and allow for him to go and do no matter what the circumstances are," Beerus continues, as I can now slowly begin to see the cracks within his strategy and the frustration within his movements, and so I'll need to go and close in and knock him out now before it's too late. And since he now doesn't appear to notice while attacking me out of anger, now's my chance to go and close in on him while he isn't paying attention. And while I'm unsure on what his next move will be, given how he continues to go and use this strange technique while masking it within those energy blasts of his, Beerus continues, I'll just simply go and try to cut right through by having some of them strike me head on, so that way I can go and create the illusion that he's tagged me, and that's when I'll go and make my move, in having to then come right on in with the finishing strike. But while I find whatever it is that he's trying to use on me to be rather useful in this case, especially by having it stun me several times over when I least expected it throughout the course of this contest, and I am only now starting to wonder on if whatever technique Vegeta has been secretly using has anything to do with that book that he's been shown having to read or not. For now, I couldn't be any more certain that this is the source behind these strange attacks that he's been momentarily shown having to freeze me in place during our battle, as I am only now more than certain of it now that this must be true. But nevertheless, Beerus continues upon being shown dodging all of Vegeta's blasts, and it is time that we go and put an end to this contest before him and I end up destroying everything within the process. And while he's distracted, since he doesn't appear to see me, Beerus continues upon being shown rushing on in, then this is where I'll go and make my move. For that was quite the battle, but this is where you fold, Vegeta, as Vegeta went on to then dash towards Beerus by then responding, "I think I got him exactly where I need him, and so yes, and there's my chance, and since he can't appear to see me, and as good of a battle as you managed to go and put up here against me, Lord Beerus, this is where you lose, and so this is where it ends now. What the? Now I've got you, and so now say good, but wait, what the? But how did you just... Oh, incredible reaction timing. So, you were actually fast enough to catch on to my oncoming attack to cancel me out before I can strike you after all," with Vegeta responding, "Wait, but I thought that surely I was going to slow you down and get the better of you before you were actually able to see me coming, but I guess I wasn't quick enough to go and make my move before you were able to see me coming. Well, fair play, Lord Beerus. Very interesting, Saiyan, because now I see on what it was that you just did," Beerus went on to then quickly chime back in, "for you had went and taken that book that you have been reading that Whis had given you and had implemented some kind of a technique against me, and the only reason as to why I know is because I felt you converting your energy into something which you were trying to later use as some kind of a ploy to drain me of my stamina so that way you could win. Is that right?" Beerus questions. "And to do this, I felt you sacrifice a portion of your own power in order for you to go as far as to paralyze my own," Beerus continues, "which I can only go as far as to assume that you must have went and picked up on how to do this after reading that ancient book of the Fallen, now didn't you? And so because of this, although you couldn't go and use dark energy to amplify such a technique, what you ended ended up doing instead was you relinquished a portion of your own power in order for this to work, am I right? Yes, of course, because now it's all starting to make sense as to what you've been doing all along to match me, with Vegeta responding, wait, so you were able to notice this entire time? Because if that's the case, then yes, Vegeta says, for that was exactly what I had been going and using out here against you during our battle, Lord Beerus, but was it really that obvious out there with Beerus being shown powering back down by responding? Well, it wasn't so obvious at first, but I'll admit, Vegeta, for I am rather very impressed for you to even attempt something as intricate as energy neutralization, let alone go and try to make it work against me even for a moment, and is by no stretch of the imagination a small feat for anyone to achieve, Saiyan, as I will go as far as to say that this technique of yours has potential, Beerus continues, for against someone like me, it is nothing more than a nuisance during battle, but against a demon god like Raijin in the chaos of the demon realm, well, that's an entirely different story, Beerus continues, for you may have stumbled upon something that could be very useful in our upcoming battles against Raijin and those demons, Saiyan, but since you are rather still new in having to execute such a technique is what we will have to ultimately need to go and work on, Beerus says, but even now, while I will admit that without this special little technique of yours, I would have beaten you, Vegeta, but with our battle aside, you have gone as far as to pique my interest now, and that is simply because neutralizing an opponent's energy even briefly could turn the tide of any fight that we may end up finding ourselves in, and especially when having to deal with beings as dangerous as those demons within the demon realm. But now just imagine in having to paralyze that rotten demon god Raijin mid-attack and rendering him momentarily vulnerable, Beerus questions, for the sheer sight of victory wouldn't be too far off from that point, now would it, Saiyan? But tell me, does Goku know of a way on how to use this technique as well, with Vegeta responding, well, since Kakarot doesn't seem to have a clue about the ancient book of the Fallen that was given to me by Whis, then no, Vegeta says, for he wouldn't be able to know on how to properly wield or use such a dark technique, and even if he tried, he wouldn't be as effective as it would be if I did it given my history, and so no, Kakarot wouldn't know anything about it, and I've just barely started to figure it all out for myself to go and use in battle against anyone, Lord Beerus, with Beerus being shown turning around by responding, well, good, because the last thing that I need is to have that idiot Goku go and completely misuse such a skill and use it on the wrong person in order to go and help them when our mission couldn't be any more clear as to what we need to go and do. And so in the meantime, I think I may have an idea on how we can go and render these demons immobile during battle, especially if feeding it dark energy is a method for the technique to work well enough in getting the job done when we need to. And so we'll need to go and practice, for I have no doubt that if we could get you to master such a skill, and if we can refine this technique enough to make it stronger and more reliable for when we need it, then perhaps maybe we can go and implement it into our strategy when the time comes to face that demon Raijin and his army, because through this we can go and use that technique of yours to go and freeze him in place and create an opening where he cannot go and use his magic or his power against us, given how I would be backing you by using the nature of my God of Destruction powers alongside with it, to which if this ends up working in our favor, then perhaps we may in fact actually have something on our hands here that just may be what changes the game down there against those freaks once we close in on wiping them all out for good, as it was only right then and there during that moment where the Beyond Dragon Ball Super Story of the Dark Masters, the official Murno sequel, manga chapter number 20 special, then comes to a close.
Shout out to UnrealEntGaming for this video. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Man, fire. I love seeing Vegeta and Beerus train. That's beautiful. Yeah, I can't wait to see the next one, man. Check out the last one. You might like right here. Check out another video about Dragon Ball right here, and I'll catch y'all next time, man. Peace.